Friend, watch this video till the end, because today we're talking about people from history who appeared ordinary, but their stories were dark, strange, and deeply unsettling. They came into the world as mysteries and left behind only questions. History remembers their faces, but the truth about who they really were remains lost forever. Number 1. Willie Muse spent most of his life in isolation. He avoided people, and whenever he had to face the world, he made sure to hide the second face that grew on the back of his head. That face was his curse, the face he believed belonged to the devil himself. Muse suffered in silence. He visited many doctors, begging them to remove it, but no one could help him. The most haunting part was that the second face could speak. It whispered to Muse constantly, words that no one else could hear, only he could. Day after day, the voice tormented him. It laughed when he cried, and it frowned when he smiled. It never slept, not even at night. By the age of 22, Muse had tried to take his life several times, but finally he succeeded by drinking poison. Before he died, he left behind a letter. In it, he described the unbearable pain of living with that other face. He wrote, "When I smile, it scowls. When I weep, it laughs. It never lets me rest." He ended the letter with one final request, that before his burial, the second face should be completely destroyed so it could never haunt him again. Willie Muse was buried in a quiet grave, with no stone, no name, and nothing left behind, except silence. Number 2. Mirin Dajo was a man who left the doctors of his time completely astonished. He was born in 1912 in the Netherlands. At the age of 20, he joined a traveling circus, and from the moment he stepped into the ring, he became a living mystery. Dajo could push sharp swords straight through his body, and yet not a single drop of blood would fall. At first, people thought it was just a trick, a clever illusion meant to fool the crowd. But when doctors examined him, they were left speechless. An X-ray revealed something unbelievable. The blade had truly passed through his body, piercing him from one side to the other. And still, he stood there, calm, unshaken, as if pain itself had no power over him. No one ever truly understood how he did it. Was it a strange gift of nature, or a curse that made him immune to pain? Mirin Dajo became famous across Europe, a circus legend who earned both fame and fortune. But behind the applause and the lights, there was a man who carried an unexplained secret within him, a secret that died with him in 1948. To this day, no one knows how he survived what should have been impossible. Number 3. Phineas P. Gage was born in 1823 in New Hampshire, USA. He worked as a railroad construction foreman, a strong, skilled man known for his leadership on the worksite. But on September 13, 1848, while working in Vermont, his life changed forever. Gage was preparing an explosion to blast through a section of rock. During the process, a sudden accident occurred, and a heavy iron rod shot straight through his skull, entering near his left eye and exiting through the top of his head. Most people would have died instantly, but the unbelievable happened. Phineas Gage survived. Just minutes after the accident, he was fully conscious, able to speak, and even walk. He had lost his left eye forever, but his body somehow healed, defying all medical logic of that era. After recovering, Gage left his railroad job and joined a traveling circus, where he would share his story with audiences. People were stunned to see a man standing alive and talking, even though an iron rod had once passed straight through his brain. Phineas Gage died in 1860 at the age of 36, after suffering a series of epileptic seizures. But his story remains one of the most extraordinary cases in medical history. The man who lost part of his brain, yet kept his life. Number 4. George and Willie Muse, two brothers born in the 1890s in Virginia, USA, to a poor African-American family. Both of them were born with a rare condition called albinism, which made their skin and hair completely white. But back then, people didn't understand what albinism was. They saw the boys as different, as outsiders. One day, while George and Willie were just children playing outside their small home, a man approached them and took them away. They were kidnapped and sold to a traveling circus. The circus owners saw profit, not children. They renamed them Echo and Eco and created a false story for the audience, claiming these two boys were not from Earth, but messengers from Mars. Crowds would gather in amazement, staring at the two Martian brothers behind the curtain. People gasped, they laughed, and the circus grew rich from their pain. But far away, their mother, Harriet Muse, never stopped searching. She was a brave woman, strong and determined. For years she traveled, asking, hoping, praying. Then one day, fate intervened. When the traveling circus came back to Virginia, Harriet saw two familiar faces on stage. She recognized them instantly. They were her sons. She demanded their release, but the circus refused. So Harriet took them to court, a black woman standing alone against powerful white businessmen in an America where justice rarely stood with her. But this time she won. The court ruled in her favor, and the boys were finally set free. The circus was ordered to pay for the years they had stolen. After that, George and Willie lived quiet, simple lives, far away from the cruel spotlight that once defined them. No one knows exactly when they passed away, but their story remains, a haunting reminder of how far people can go in the name of greed, and how strong a mother's love can truly be. Number 5. Daisy and Violet Hilton were born in 1908 in Brighton, England. The twin sisters were conjoined at the hips, sharing parts of their lower body. Their mother worked at a bar and was unmarried at the time of their birth, something society looked down upon in those days. Because of that, another woman bought the twins and took control of their lives. By the 1920s, Daisy and Violet were brought to America, where they began performing in circuses and sideshows. Their rare condition and natural charm quickly made them famous, drawing huge crowds and earning large sums of money. Despite their fame, their lives were far from easy, controlled by others and often treated more as exhibits than as human beings. In 1969, when both were about 60 years old, tragedy struck. The sisters were found dead inside their home. An investigation later revealed that they had both caught the flu. But the saddest part was this: they didn't die at the same time. Daisy passed away first. For the next 4 days, Violet lived on, alone, unable to separate from her sister's body, and without asking anyone for help. When rescuers finally arrived, Violet too had died. Beside the only person she had ever been truly connected to, a heartbreaking end to two lives that had never truly been apart. Number 6. Joseph Merrick, a name that history remembers as the Elephant Man. He was born in 1862 in Leicester, England. At birth, Joseph was a normal, healthy child, but around the age of 3, things began to change. His skin grew thick and rough, his head began to enlarge, and his right arm became unusually big. As his condition worsened, society, and even his own family, turned away from him. His father remarried, and his stepmother forced him out of the house. By the time Joseph was 13, he was wandering the streets trying to survive on his own. Eventually, Joseph joined a traveling show where his body became a spectacle. Crowds would gather, paying to see the man they called the Elephant Man. But behind the stares and whispers was a kind, intelligent soul, a man who only wanted to be accepted. One day, a London doctor named Frederick Trevis noticed Joseph. He saw past the deformities and offered him care, dignity, and friendship. Under the doctor's protection, Joseph finally found peace and safety for the first time in his life, but his health continued to decline. On a quiet night in 1890, at just 27 years old, Joseph Merrick died, not from his illness, but while trying to sleep lying down like a normal man. For the first time in his life, he just wanted to feel ordinary, a tragic end, to an extraordinary man who taught the world that beauty is not always what we see, but what lies within. Number 7. Maximo and Bartola, a brother and sister born in a small village in El Salvador during the 19th century. From birth, both children suffered from a rare condition known as microcephaly, which caused their heads to be unusually small and their mental development to remain limited. Their mother, desperate and poor, handed them over to a traveling merchant, believing his promise that he would treat them and give them an education. But that promise was a lie. The merchant sold the two children to circus owners who saw not two human beings, but a spectacle to be displayed. In the circus, they were given a completely fabricated story. They were introduced to audiences as the last survivors of the Aztec civilization. According to this cruel fantasy, they had been discovered in the ruins of a lost Mesoamerican city called Zamania. Crowds lined up to see them. They were presented before kings, nobles, and scientists, all under a web of lies carefully spun by those exploiting them. The circus made a fortune, while Maximo and Bartola themselves remained unaware of the deceit surrounding them. They smiled when told to smile. They posed when told to pose. And behind the curtains, they lived a life of quiet tragedy. Children who never understood why the world stared at them, instead of seeing them. What do you think about these strange and unusual people from history? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you'd like to see more mysterious stories like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching.